Wesley Bell has defeated Cori Bush in the race for Missouri's 1st District's Democratic primary. He ended up winning by about 6 points, about 5.5 points. Ryan, you followed this race really closely. A lot of chatter in the media today about what actually happened. I'm not convinced that the media knows what actually happened, but I am convinced that you know what actually happened. So please tell us.
Well, so, I mean, the headline is the squad is now, depending on how you count it, shrinking from what was 8 members at the if you count Summer Lee and Greg Casar.
Should we start crossing people off on your book cover?
Yeah.
You can see it on Ryan's
Yeah,
book
cover. You've got Cor Bush and Jamal Bowman. So of those 6, two of them have lost primaries, but have cost AIPAC a combined total of at least $25 million to knock them out.
That's crazy.
$17 million in Jamal Bowman's race, and now $8 million dropped on Cor Bush. To win, all the votes are not counted yet, but we're looking at about 63. Yeah, as you see up there, 63,000 for Wesley Bell, pushing 56,000, over 56,000 for Cor Bush. So it ended up being a pretty close race for as massively outspent as Cor Bush was. What we learned from the Nina Turner race and the Summer Lee race is that millions of dollars in spending on TV can move the needle roughly 20 to 30 points. It's a dramatic amount that you can kind of push the number. Now, if you have Summer Lee ended up winning in that race where she dropped 25, 30 points in a couple weeks, she won it by just a few thousand votes. Nina Turner ended up losing that race by something like 4,000 votes. Very close race as well. But people are not plugged in. People don't have, a lot of voters don't have a depth of feeling about a candidate such that millions of dollars is not going to sway their choice for that race. And so you get a lot of debating about whether or not AIPAC spending $25 million in these 2 races matters, which to me is the craziest question you could ever ask. Like, I get it that people who can afford to give $25 million have enough money that they're not going to be poor as a result of giving it, but they still are not spending that money for no reason. And it's almost insulting to their intelligence to suggest that anybody would spend $25 million to have no effect. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Just buy it. There's things they could spend that money on, like an elevator for your garage, so you can move your cars up and down to different. Like Romney. That would be a cool thing to have if you're super rich. Instead, you're going to waste it for no reason on a political campaign.
They have a lot of money to waste.
The money matters.
So,
and this does not count, by the way. We don't know the final. We can figure out the final total later, but most of the money that West Bell raised directly to his campaign was bundled by AIPAC, and that money is actually more valuable than the $8 million, and it's complicated, but not that complicated. So if you are a super PAC, like AIPAC's super PAC, which is called United Democracy Project, you have to pay higher rates for cable television and television advertising. So your $8 million doesn't go as far as it does for the candidate themselves. So the candidate gets discounted rates. Also, the candidate can coordinate because with their own campaign. The candidate can say, all right, I want to do $1 million on this channel. I want to do $1 million targeting these voters. I want to do $1 million over here. Whereas, and these are the exact messages that I want to hit. Whereas the super PAC is just out on its own, running its own polling and running its own operation. So for those 2 reasons, the ability to coordinate the money and the discount you get on television advertising, it's much better to get money directly to the campaign. And AIPAC raised, we'll find out in the next couple of weeks, but an enormous sum directly to Wesley Bell's campaign, and that's on top of the $8 million that they spent through their super PAC. And
I want to ask you now about how that money was spent, because if we look at the polling, this is the next element, D2, that we put this up on the screen. It was absolutely all over the place. So this is from 538's sort of collating of the polls. Last one had Bell up by 6 points. Now, these small House races, the polling is usually going to be scattered through a lot of different time periods of the reliable polling, at least. But one before that had Bell up 23 points, late June, early July. Another one, though, that was also taken in mid-June had Bell only up by 1 point. Mm-hmm. And then one from all the way back in February had Bell by 22 points. The one constant in that is Cori Bush never led in one of those serious polls, right, at least as 538 defines them as worthy polls. So were there wild swings in public sentiment as it came to Cori Bush? I think probably the likelier story is that these races are just really hard to poll, and support for Bell was probably around 10 plus. Then Cori Bush did come in towards the end of the race, and actually, if there were polls finding her down by 23 points, made it closer than it probably should have been. So what were they talking about, and what was West Bell doing with the AIPAC money in terms of messaging that was weighing on voters' minds yesterday?
And credit to Mark Mellman, who's the head of the Mellman Group and also the founder of DMFI, which is like basically an AIPAC affiliate.
Some of these polls are from DMFI.
He's the one that did the +6 poll that was a couple weeks ago, and the +1 poll. Yeah. And I think those look pretty accurate. Like he's a pollster and also runs DMFI, which was the super PAC that was running before AIPAC developed its own super PAC, and it still runs in Democratic primaries. Cori Bush was hitting Wesley Bell with everything in the kitchen sink, including in one of her final ads, attacking him for sleeping with subordinates as a prosecutor. He was a kind of reformist, kind of Soros-backed DA in St. Louis. He got sued. He was able to, or for some reason, the lawsuit that would have involved a lot of dirty laundry being aired was delayed past the election. It was scheduled to take place maybe 6-8 weeks ago or so, and on the day of the hearing, it was then postponed. So that really helped Wesley Bell, because he's getting sued by women in his office who either fired or who quit and are making all sorts of allegations. And maybe those will come out in a year from now, and we'll get a Cori Bush, Wesley Bell rematch in a Jamal Bowman, Richie Torres race.
Well, how did Bell successfully sort of?
It's the same playbook that they went after Summer Lee with, that they went after Jamal Bowman with. That Cori Bush is a radical. She's out of step with Democrats.
Even as a reformist prosecutor, he was able to sort of make that argument.
Well, because I mean, being a reformist prosecutor in St. Louis is very popular among Democrats.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the ads. None of the ads, to your point, were about Israel-Palestine.
Right.
AIPAC spent, in the $25 million they spent on these two races, almost zero was spent talking about Israel-Palestine. There was one ad that AIPAC's Super PAC ran shortly after October 7th, where they came after Cori Bush, and they mentioned, and it was about Israel-Palestine, and basically calling her a Hamas supporter. And that was before Wesley Bell had even jumped in the race, and we can talk about this if we have this audio that we published over at Dropsite News. Wesley Bell was originally running for Senate, and there were rumors last summer that were published in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that he was actually running for Senate to raise his name identification so that he could then jump into the race against Cori Bush and benefit from all of the super PAC spending that is always there to go against anybody in the squad. After October 7th, that level of money that was available increased. So he called Cori Bush after the St. Louis paper had said that he was thinking about doing this, and swore to her that absolutely was not happening. Do we have that audio? Can we run that?
There's some stuff that I know because I just from being in this game long enough. Those are their empowerment is a hack. he is a hack. And the proof of it is name one legitimate reporter that run anything even close to that. Like, this is stupid.
Exactly. No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
So don't even think for even a second that that's the case. And I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you on my word, I ain't not running any shit.
Well,
that is not happening.
So, Ren, this is audio of Bell telling Bush that Holloman was a, quote, hack.
Yeah, so basically what he says...
What's going on?
So basically what he says is that the author of the piece is a total hack. Everybody believes he's a hack. The reporter should not be believed. There's no chance, don't think for even a second that that's the case. I'm telling you right now,
Yikes.
I'm telling you on my word, I am not running against you. That is not happening. And Cori Bush says, well, you know, I'm just thinking, you know, Steve Roberts, who ran against her last time, had said the same thing, but that he wouldn't run against her. He wouldn't jump from one race to another, but he did. And he's like, I'm no Steve Roberts. He says, I ain't no Steve Roberts. Steve Roberts then ended up endorsing Wesley Bell. Anyway, so shockingly, he lied to her and then jumped into the race. But we could see a rematch in 2026. Who knows?
Interesting.
We'll see what. And Cori Bush got attacked for paying her husband to do security.
Yes.
You know, that quote unquote scandal.
Her now husband,
Yeah.
right. Well, also being a defund the police type progressive, that was a big item in conservative media.
Right.
That wouldn't have mattered
That
in
hit
race,
less hard.
but
in St.
Democratic
Louis.
primary.
And also, like, the whole premise of the movie Bodyguard is about falling in love with your bodyguard. So I don't see how.
Everybody loves that.
Yeah.
Well, I just mean for your average voter, if there's a sense or an aura of kind of drama and chaos around someone that can, you know, and someone else comes in and says, you know, I'm a no drama Obama or whatever it is, that can actually hurt someone if there's a lot of like scandal and
that was yes. Cori Bush is causing too much chaos and like it's about her and this. So
Crystal and I back at the Hill interviewed Cori Bush the morning after she won her primary.
oh, cool, 2020?
So yeah, that was a while ago. It feels like a while ago. And I just have always been frustrated on some of the conservative attacks on Cor Bush because I'm very curious about her future because I think she falls into sort of whatever we talk about red meat, maybe blue meat. I think she falls into that sometimes. But she's also a more interesting person than some people give her credit for.
Extremely interesting.
Yeah, curious where her future goes.
I hope we haven't heard the last of her.
Hey, if you liked that video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Breaking Points.
If you want to see the rest of Counterpoints, go to breakingpoints.com to become a premium member and get the full uncut show every morning in your inbox and on Spotify.